Now, after the door came off the Alaska Airlines airplane, the airline maker Boeing has been in hot water, and sales have now effectively frozen. And that's going to mean layoffs. And this company did it to themselves. The guys at the top were so entrenched in greed that they cut corners. And years later, now they're paying for it, or at least the lower level employees are paying for it. And they're going to end up getting pink slips. Now, with yesterday's CPI news and a more likelihood that the Fed is not going to be able to cut rates, we're going to end up seeing a slew of bankruptcies this year, because the longer these interest rates stay higher, many of these companies that are loaded in debt are not going to be able to refinance, and they're going to have to restructure. And I have a feeling there are going to be a lot of names that are around now that we won't see later in the year, because ultimately some of these bankruptcies, they're going to be liquidations. Now, mortgage rates moved higher to 6.87% last week, and we've had some pretty big moves in the 10-year yield in the last few days, and that's probably going to resume, and that's going to mean mortgage rates are going to move higher. And I've said it before that the new market in real estate is cash buyers. If you don't have a ton of cash, you're not going to get handed those keys to the new home. America is up for sale, and I've done previous videos on it. Now, Redfin today announced that 26% of affordable homes in America were bought by investors last year. So more than a quarter of all homes in America were bought by investors. Now, we've seen propaganda stories in the last year that investors were only buying a small percentage of homes, and I knew that was a lie. Look, we're going down a path of renter nation. 10 years from now, the majority of Americans will only be renting, and I believe that's what the guys at the top, that's what they want. They want to be able to control who lives in what neighborhood. They don't have to worry about gerrymandering. They don't have to worry about redistricting. If they own the companies that own entire neighborhoods and zip codes, they can control who lives there. And that's the path we're going down, folks. Now, will there be any laws to stop it? No, because these Wall Street investors, they're lobbying against it. And our politicians, they're in the same pockets as the investors. So nothing will be done until these guys have every home that they want. Now, after that, then they'll pass some laws to make sure nobody can come in and disrupt their little club that they put together. Now, gas prices are rising again, and this is going to spell trouble for the consumer. If gasoline rises $1, that will pretty much wipe out the American consumer, because the average Joe is on the razor's edge of being in the red. And one bout of inflation like we had a few years ago, and it's going to be a knockout blow. There will be no coming back from it. Now, the layoffs continue, folks, every day. And it's not stopping. And almost as if every company's earnings release has an announcement that they're cutting jobs. And I'm scratching my head, because you're going to have half of America out of work. Now, the big question is, can these corporate head suit and tie guys end up back in the same pay scale that they've been kicked out of? And I don't think so. AI is beginning to take a lot of these corporate jobs. And I got a pretty good feeling a year or two from now, these guys who are getting the axe, a lot of them, they're going to end up rubbing shoulders with the average Joe who's struggling now. Now, as it looks like the Fed is pushing off cutting interest rates, you're going to see a lot of these companies go belly up. And if you work for one of these companies, especially a public company, you need to be doing your research and looking at how much debt they hold and when that debt is due, because there's almost $1 trillion worth of debt that's due before the end of this year. And if the company you work for doesn't have a large cash position and has a lot of debt, one of the first things they're going to do is they're going to reduce the workforce. But that's not going to be enough. And in many cases, you'll go home on a Friday, come in on Monday, and there'll be a sign at the door. A lot of these places, they're going to go kaput. Now, you're going to have the administration and everybody and their mama trying to hold off everything until after the election. And after the election, it's going to be like you trying to hold back the ocean. The dam is going to burst, and you're going to have so many bankruptcies at one time. It's going to be a calamity. Now, if you like this type of content, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.